Well, I guess the Sharks were like the Backstreet Boys because they definitely weren't in sync tonight. They lose to a team that they should have beaten, and we'll talk about that and more. This is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is April 6th, 2021. That man, Patrick Marleau, had an impact on this game, but unfortunately not as much for the rest of the team as the Sharks lose 5-1 to the Anaheim Ducks, a game that they should have had but just didn't show up. Welcome to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks post-game. We do this after every single game. So if you want to be part of the show, Teal together and chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app. Follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel here. It really goes a long way. SoundCloud, Reddit, Discord, and find everything at tealtownusa.com. Hi, everyone. Erik Kuhre alongside Mr. Kevin Lacy. How are you, good sir? Good to see you back on the After Dark.
Hey, yeah, it's been a while since I've officially been on After Dark here with you, Erik. So it's good to be here. You know, we've got Sharks and Barracuda coverage tonight, so we'll be here for the next 90 minutes. Puck Guy told me we needed to keep this show short as possible, so I figured let's just troll him right out of the bat.
Wow.
So for the next 90 minutes, folks, we're going to be taking all of your questions about the Sharks and the Barracuda. Both teams lost tonight, but we have a lot to talk about. So yeah, awesome, right?
Why?
This is why I'm not on the show very often, because Erik needs to keep me like locked up for, you know, special occasions.
Okay, phrasing. But we'll go on from there. It won't be 90 minutes, but we'll see what we can do here. The Sharks on a 4-game winning streak. At the time, they were within a point of getting into a playoff spot. That's kind of changed a little bit, but let's lock and load and grip it and rip it, and let's get at it. No Marc-Edouard Vlasic. You got Christian Jaros. Yes.
Jaros. You're close.
Oh, brother. Don't even... when you get to the Barracuda, I am not even going to talk about the goaltenders' names.
Jaden Hopkawaks was not in the lineup.
Damn it! Come on!
That's lower body injury. So.
That's my boy. But we'll get to that in a sec. Let's get to this game. The Sharks without Marc-Edouard Vlasic. And Noel Bilodeau wanting to know what... No Peloton? See, the people are asking for it, my friend. I warned you.
I'm trying to fix something in my settings here. No Peloton tonight. See, the Sharks were working hard out there, so I don't feel the need to make up for the lack of effort that they put out there. Maybe execution, actually very much execution, but yeah. I'm hoping to be back later in the week, so there's your little teaser right there to please subscribe already and set those alerts. So the next time I am riding on a Peloton during one of these live shows and you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to catch me breaking a sweat.
There you go. All right, getting into the first period, you know, it was tough early on. It definitely looked like the Ducks came out to play tonight. The Sharks kind of like little lackadaisical. They had that extra day off, which is nice. They're going to have, you know, this game and then a couple more days off. But tough go at it. And then you saw Henrique with a nice shot, I thought, that beat Jones, that made it 1-0. But I was like, you know, tough for them to get anything going up until maybe the fight that we'll get into a little bit. And you know about the Jeffrey VL guy. But what did you take overall from the first period before we get into that fight? I just like wasn't feeling it from the team this evening.
So it was kind of interesting for me because the Barracuda game ran long, which we will be getting to later. So because of that, I missed the first like 5 minutes of the Sharks game. And in that time, as I was tweeting out my final thoughts on the Barracuda game, Curtis Pashelka, within 3 minutes of the start, already said, boy, the Sharks already look a little bit off. Things aren't quite gelling. And I'm like thinking, oh man, what has happened so far? Like, are we down 2-0 already? And I turned over and it's 0-0, but it was, foreshadowing. I don't know if he just saw something early. I don't know if you guys out there in the YouTube chat something early, but Pashoka said right away, this team looks off, and the whole night they did look off. You mentioned the Adam Henrique goal. I thought that was a pretty nice goal.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not anyone's fault. I will come down hard on the defense tonight. I didn't think the defense was very good at all, but it was a nice, quick play that resulted in a good shot by Henrique. Would like to see Jones a little more in position to that stick side, a little more square to the shooter, but hey, sometimes goal scorers score goals. It's unbelievable to think about, but just sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, the sky is not falling on Adam Henrique's goal to me.
Hey, I mean, we've heard the one call that he has with the synonymous with his time in New Jersey. Henrique, it's over. And I kind of made fun of that in the tweet with the gif of his goal. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was over then because things did not look good. However, somebody made Jeffrey VL mad, and he delivered some veal parm to the face of Sam Carrick, the brother of
former San Jose Barracuda and former San Jose Shark number 47, Trevor Carrick. But we had a new number 47 tonight. And Trevor Carrick's no longer in this organization. He plays with his brother on the Ducks, system, we'll say.
Yeah.
But Sam Carrick, recently recalled by the Ducks, been a pain in the Barracuda's butt for the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. One of the top scorers in the AHL. He's a very feisty player, but he can back it up offensively as well. I really like the toolkit that Sam Carrick brings, but you know what? Jeff Viel doesn't give a crap.
Oh.
Jeff Viel's out there to take names and beat ass, and they've come to blows before, Erik. They have fought in the preseason in an NHL preseason game.
Right.
It was a pretty spirited affair in that one too, if you look it up on hockeyfights.com. But they've definitely come to blows. Just scrums and whatnot. Sam Carrick and Jeff Viel are both great at starting scrums. So this fight got me excited, and I was hoping that it got the Sharks excited. To me, as I mentioned, I don't think they were lacking energy. I think they were just lacking a little bit of focus. But that Viel fight, you would hope, would set them straight. It didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe set Sam Carrick's nose straight. But yeah.
I mean, shoot, he got bloodied up really bad, almost as bad as Knyzhov got beaten up earlier in the year. But I mean, it was.
And you know what? Sam Carrick's visor saved him, because at least two of those punches because I think it's weird to say his visor saved him because his visor is what cut him up, I think. But Viel, got a couple of clean shots that went square into the visor, and I'm sure that couldn't have made Viel's hand feel very good. But I mean, Carrick could have come away with some much worse damage.
Yeah,
so
it could have been a lot worse. It could have been Yuri Fisher on Scott Thornton. But that's a couple of decades ago.
Taking it back.
Oh, that one. If there was ever a fight that you could talk about for years in Sharks lore, when Scott Thornton went after Yuri Fisher, my goodness. A couple of things coming in from the locker room. Bugner saying for whatever reason we weren't ready. They started on time, we didn't. They had their legs, we didn't. I've seen this type come in from Bugner, and it's concerning that we have that happen again. you think that these guys would get things going, especially you're riding a 4-game win streak. You're in the thick of a playoff race now because of what you've done. Now, now you're with the loss and with what the Desert Dogs have done. Now you're back 5 points. You can't let up. Just can't let up.
Well, for me, Erik, and I know that we've had quite a bit of discussion about this during the Sharks win streak in the YouTube chat about, are the Sharks a playoff team? A couple of people have said, to the moon, Sharks to the moon, we're going to win the cup, everything like that. A couple people are Debbie Downers, and I'm going to try, I'm not overly optimistic about the Sharks' chances, but I'm going to try and find a middle ground here, or at least a realistic approach. So let's look at the 4 wins that the Sharks have had on this winning streak. 2 against Minnesota, 2 against Los Angeles. One game that I felt was a really strong game by the Sharks, and that was the second game against Minnesota. The first game against Minnesota, we'll back it up even further. 2 terrible losses to Arizona, one of which made you, Puck Guy, go crazy on one of these episodes of After Dark. Crazy like we don't usually see.
Right.
The Sharks responded with a rather, to me, lackluster game against Minnesota that they won because Minnesota was equally, if not worse, equally lackluster, if not worse. Then the Sharks put up a very strong effort in that second game. Yeah. But then you've got 2 games against a team in Los Angeles who is below you in the standings. Sometimes it's easy to play down to your competition. And the Sharks have shown that they can control both of those teams. They've shown that they can control the Ducks as well. But I wonder if really 5 out of 6 sloppy games, in my opinion, or at least games where the Sharks didn't have to be that good or weren't that good. I'm wondering if that carried into the game tonight, because I think the Ducks played one of their better games of the season and the Sharks weren't there to match it. And I wonder if they got a little accustomed to playing down to Los Angeles and controlling Minnesota. I wonder if they came in a little overconfident. I don't even know if it's overconfidence, but just I wonder if those wins hid how sloppy some of the Sharks' play has been over the last 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, you can have sloppy wins and you can have ugly wins, and I think I remember a sign from the '94 playoff run saying, "We love ugly hockey, whatever it takes." The thing is that you can do that, but you also have to put in a consistent performance, and that's where tonight kind of was a little lackluster. Bugner mentioning even, with Jones, how he's been playing well over the last few games. Jones played well, and we didn't support. We got away with sloppy play last game, and tonight we didn't get away with it. We're not a team that can have 4 or 5 guys play ordinary. I mean, it seems like, gentlemen, you don't have enough talent to win on talent alone. If I'm going to pull out, the hockey movie reference, of course, but you would think that you get the momentum from the VL fight, and then the second period comes, Maxime Comtois. I mean, it seems like he's suddenly going to start to become the shark killer in the Ducks lineup now, and made it 2-0, and I'm like, oh gosh, come on.
Yeah, when Max wow, I messed that one up.
Whoa, that's a first. We'll get that in edit.
Max Comtois scored that goal. I was thinking, oh man, is he the French-Canadian Jordan Kuhre? Like, can this player score a goal against anyone else in the league?
Right.
And so good on Max Comtois. He's right where he needs to be, at the side of the net, kind of front side of the net there. Good play by Drysdale. Love Jamie Drysdale. But boy, oh boy, oh boy. Tired of seeing a Max Comtois score against the Sharks. And Hockey Jerk even said, he put out a tweet 2 months ago that said something along the lines of, Max Comtois can't not score against the Sharks, something along those lines.
Right.
And he brought that back up on his Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that seems to be true. So I don't know who's covering Max Comtois there at the side of the net on that play. But I was not happy with the Sharks defensively as a collective group. I don't know if there's any one player that I like tonight. I actually did like Erik Karlsson's game, at least in the offensive zone. But defensively as a group,
A little
they
rough.
didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that or at least I will talk about it. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I will talk about that into the next couple of goals against.
Yeah. I mean, before then, the Sharks did end up getting a power play, and of course, Patrick Marleau gets his third of the season from a nice passing play and a nice setup. First off, Karlsson kind of dekes past his defender, feeds it over to LeBanc, who feeds it over to Marleau, who had pretty much a wide open net. That gets the Sharks' lone goal. I mean, nice play all around. Nice to see the finesse come through there. But you need more than that. And unfortunately, the Sharks didn't get that offensively tonight.
Yeah, what a play by Erik Karlsson. I just mentioned I really liked his offensive game tonight. I liked how he rushed the puck. I liked the creative decisions that he made. Real nice move from forehand to backhand around unnamed Ducks forechecker over to LeBanc, and then LeBanc's cross vision, I think, is what makes him an elite passer when he wants to be. There's a lot of Kevin LeBanc's game that really drives me insane. But when he's passing horizontally from east to west, in particular, I think he's really rock solid there, especially on the power play. That was a great feed over to Patrick Marleau. That Marleau had so much time that I was worried he was going to waste the time to shoot because Patrick Marleau's hands aren't what they were even a couple of years ago. But it was good to see Marleau get that goal. And the Sharks in the third period had an identical play with Brent Burns and Tomas Hertl that it didn't go in, which shows that's not a 100% certainty. So for Patrick Marleau, who's been pretty snake-bitten offensively for most of this season and a potential trade candidate
That's
in
right.
the next 6 days.
Thank you, Gary Bettman.
That's a big goal for him. So I was happy to see that goal, and that put the Sharks back in the game.
Right. And then it just fell down after that. Lundestrom, who had taken, LeBanc was so admiring his stick, he took a holding the stick call. He used that stick to get open in front of the net to make it 3-1. But Kevin, I'm going to show the screenshot here, and I'm going to try to say, all right, you have 6 guys all around the net in front of the goal line. I mean, yes, Ferraro's in that sense, but how does this happen? How does this happen? You have Gregor right there. Viel is looking at the puck. You have, what is that? Burnsy looking at the puck and everything. You have 6 guys right there. How the heck does that puck go in the slot? I mean, come on.
And this is what I'm talking about with the Sharks playing poor defensively. And it's not just the defense. It's not, although I will harp on the D group on the whole, but this includes the forwards who are supposed to be back checking. Look at that. All 5 skaters right around the crease means your forwards are nowhere near in position either. So even though it is aggravating to see both defensemen doing like the Wizard of Oz guards at the gate kind of thing, there should at least be 3, if not 4 Sharks elsewhere on the ice, and allowed Isaac Lundestrom to just put it right in. That very frustrating goal. Martin Jones, and this will kind of allude to the next goal against Martin Jones. It's easy to harp on him because he's the goalie, and Sharks fans have been doing it for years. Even with Evgeny Nabokov, everything was Evgeny Nabokov's fault, and he's the best goalie in franchise history.
Of course I am.
Martin Jones, I did not think played poorly tonight. Overall, I think he had plays that looked very ugly. but he also made some very, very big stops. For the most part of the first two periods there, I feel like the Ducks had the better of the chances. Maybe not the number of chances, but the quality of chances that the Ducks were getting were far better than the quality of the chances the Sharks were getting. And that comes down to D and forwards not being where they needed to be. I felt like Martin Jones was having to overcompensate an awful lot tonight, which is why there were some plays where Jones looked pretty bad. And I think it was because he was having to go way out of the crease to try and cut his angle down, like on the fourth goal. And even on this third goal by Lundestrom, I mean, he looks like he's way out of the net, but I mean, Jones can only do so much.
Right.
So I'm trying not to get too far ahead, but I guess I'm going to have to go down that rabbit hole. Brett Hedican mentioned on the broadcast, maybe it's time to pull Martin Jones. I'm thinking to myself, if these guys aren't clicking, how about changing the lines? How about changing the D pairs? I know Peter DeBoer went through that lineup jumbler way too often, but I feel like Bob Buchner is ultra reluctant to do that. Maybe that's all this needed. I mean, this lineup beat the Wild and the Kings. That doesn't mean they're going to beat the Ducks. So if the Sharks are looking so far out of sorts in this game, switch it up. And I don't just mean goaltending.
And that's the thing, is that they are hesitant. I mean, granted, PDB would blend more than somebody that worked at Jamba Juice. I mean, if things were going wrong right away, it was blending. It's almost like Bugner's like, well, it hasn't really been broken. I'm not going to, touch it. It's been working for us the last 4 games. We're going to go with it. Okay, I get that theory, but when you're down 4-1, and of course, Troy Terry takes a shot that gets blocked, and it goes right to Delorier, where he just slams it home to make it 4-1. And you knew that this game was in deep doo-doo. We won't even talk about the third because, Bob Bugner pulls the goalie with about 7-8 minutes to go in the game. I mean, what kind of Patrick Waugh Wheaties did you eat today that thinks that's going to be a good idea?
Maybe Bob Bugner was pulling out the playbook of all the old teams he used to play for, because the Buffalo Sabres were where he got his start, and we saw that 5-man all in a line almost kind of defensive play that the Sabres got memed for a couple of years ago.
That was
against the Sharks.
And that was AJ who posted that meme a long time ago.
Yeah. And so you've got the Sharks did their own thing with having 5 players on the edge of the crease. So why not pull the Patrick Waugh? They used to be teammates there in Colorado, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think Waugh had been retired by that point. So yeah, you know what? Let's go with the Waugh. 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Pull Martin Jones. Honestly, like, I don't hate that play. I mean, the Sharks were down by 3 at that point.
Yeah.
For me, it was just a matter of,
I get you were trying to get some type of momentum going.
Yeah, I just think there were other coaching decisions that could and should have been made to try and help resolve this situation. Now it's one game. The sky's not falling.
The world's not ending.
The world's not ending. It's one game. The Sharks are still, to me somehow, but still in this playoff picture.
Yeah.
Games like tonight are why I say the somehow. But nevertheless, the Sharks are still mathematically in this playoff hunt and have a legitimate chance of making the playoffs.
Right.
But you got to move on to the next game and learn from this game. Players, coaches, everyone's got to be ready. What I hope, I know that Al Martinet, at least privately, but I'm just sorry, it was private, but now I'm going to make it public. I know Al Martinet said, why is Martin Jones playing 5 games in a row? Well, 4-game winning streak. Why not? Do you think that Devin Dubnyk plays in the next one? I mentioned Patrick Marleau, possibly days away from being traded Devin Dubnik's in the same situation. Do you want to showcase him? Hope Dubnik gets a good game because he's been on a bad run. What do you think, Erik?
You would have to. I would think if you're going to get Dumick in, you're going to have to get him in one of these games against LA. And yes, I get the whole, and we saw this with PDB the whole time he was here, that Martin Jones plays well against his former team in LA. Blah 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 blah. Okay, I get that. But if you're going to make a move to have Dubnik get traded or showcase him, you have to showcase him. You just can't have him with a ball cap on and say, "Hey, would you like this guy with a ball cap on?" You know, and early on, I mean, Dubnik had the first shutout of the season for the team. You know, you got to give him a shot to at least be the guy. You can't have it just be all Martin Jones. It didn't. I mean, come on. The Sharks traded for James Reimer in 2016. Now, I don't think that they're at that spot right now at all. But if you're going to showcase the guy, you got to showcase him. You got to show what he's capable of to see what you can put out there. You know, same thing with Marleau. Marleau, you know, a lot of people have been giving him criticism about being on the power play. You know, he delivers tonight, and he even mentioned in Postgame tonight we were lacking the intensity that made us successful. What were you watching, the Mighty Ducks Game Changers or something on Disney Plus on your extra day off or something? I mean, Gregor was saying, I thought my game was all right. It wasn't our best showing. Overall, it could have been better. You know, Patty again would go, you know, Gibson made some really good saves, but if you ask the guys, we need to play in their zone more and generate more offense. And I think you can completely agree with that, Kevin.
Yeah.
You know, and Bugner came back with, and I didn't catch this until later on when I was trying to catch the gif of it, but Couture is hobbling around the room a little bit. Unfortunately, it hit him in a tough area. We'll know more tomorrow. So we'll see what happens with Couture if he's able to go. But that's the tough part now. You know, you're wearing the Vlasic jersey. Vlasic's out. If you lose Couture, that's the tough part. You know, and I won't even, you know, mention Hurdle because, you know, that last thing we need is Hurdle. But, you know, he says, oh, we got to get a couple of great chances, but it wasn't going in. You need to look forward and to play like the last couple of weeks before these.
You know, and Tomas Hurdle, I thought was one of the low lights in this game. Sad to say, because obviously great guy, one of the best players on this team. I felt like Tomas Hurdle was really fighting it tonight. I thought he was in the right spots, but his execution, maybe more than anyone else, was really lacking. He had a pretty quality chance in the third period on John Gibson, but again, that's a situation where as good of placement as Hurdle is in that spot, Gibson's already square and ready to face that shot. So it's really not that good of a scoring chance, even though Hurdle's in prime real estate on that. The Sharks need to make better decisions, or needed to make better decisions with the puck tonight. Yeah, this game was just frustrating to see. Again, energy. Okay, actually, let me relate Kevin Labank's game, and I don't want to single out Kevin Labanc, but one of my big criticisms about Kevin Labanc is he plays with a lot of energy, but none of it's focused. So he's out there skating his butt off, but it's not getting the team anywhere. And I think that's how the Sharks kind of played tonight. Again, I don't think they weren't showing effort, but they were all just kind of skating around with no cohesion. And so the chances, John Gibson made, I think, 34 saves, but 34 saves, but how many quality chances did the Sharks actually have? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, and that's the part of the problem.
And sorry, just because I'm thinking about it right now, how many chances did the Sharks take from the blue line tonight? Because I felt like most of their chances were down low, below the faceoff dots. They were using the points to pass the puck,
right?
But they weren't. They were limiting their offensive chances by not using that back half of the offensive zone to shoot.
And yeah, I mean, we talked about it before. Earlier in the week, last week, the defense was activating and getting the points and doing their job offensively.
Yeah.
Didn't see too much of that tonight, which is a struggle. And of course, with the injury, it changed all the times for the guys on there. Carlson played 27 minutes. Burns played 22. You have Knyzhov and Ferraro playing 19, and then Shimmick only played 12. Yarosh only played 11:41. I mean, that's the thing. You're used to having that disparity in there, but I'm surprised Shimmick 12:06. I mean, Ferraro's been playing well over 20 minutes a game, so interesting to see.
Ferraro really struggled tonight, though, and I know the Sharks kind of jumble the D pairs all around over the course of the game. That's why you get such huge disparities in time on ice, like between Carlson's 27.5 versus Yarosh's 11 3/4. But I think that part of Shimmick's lack of ice time is sometimes he's out there with Ferraro, and Ferraro had one of his worst games of the season. And was Shimmick the other defenseman that was in that shot around the perimeter? That might not have helped his cause either. I'm not sure who it was, but
let's see. We had
thought I
Ferraro.
saw 51 out there.
We had Ferraro, Burns, Marleau.
Oh, it's Burns. Okay. All right.
VL.
Well, Burns was a
Gregor.
-3 too. So
Last thing we need, right?
yeah.
So, Sharks.
I will say about Christian Jarosz, I was hoping to see more tonight. I'm glad I didn't see too much of him because he plays this style of game that I don't want to notice him out there. But I was kind of hoping that maybe I'd get a little bit of an inkling, like, hey, Jarosz with a good defensive play, because he is a guy that I've been waiting to see get some NHL action. I thought he played very strong with the Barracuda here earlier in the year. Mm-hmm. It deserved the call up for sure to the taxi squad. And if Lasic's out long term, Clayson is right now the reserve defenseman. Clayson's an established veteran. You know what you're going to get with Clayson. Jarosz, I believe, is an RFA going into the offseason, I think. And the Sharks historically have a problem of trading for future RFAs and just letting them walk. So I'm expecting to see Jarosz get Buddy Robinson. I'm expecting Jarosz to get some good chances, but I hope that he gets more than 11 minutes and 41 seconds of ice time type chances. So, if he's going to be written off, at least as deserving. But I thought Jarosz was okay. Just need to see more of him.
And that's the interesting part, where the Sharks are at right now. Yes, you're 5 points out of a playoff spot, but you're 6th in the division. Which way do you go? You are now 6 days away from the trade deadline. Which way do you go with this team? I mean, do you make moves right now, or
For me, I think the Sharks need to sell or stay the course. If the Sharks want to continue to push for a playoff spot, I think you need to do it in a guarded approach. Because as I mentioned on the Discord channel over the weekend, remember 2012-13 when the Sharks didn't have a very good year. And then right before the trade deadline, they got really hot. So they acquired Raffi Torres instead. And Raffi Torres was great with the Sharks. He before he got hurt, he was actually being very productive offensively, not just running around with his
Right. Absolutely. Yes, exactly.
With his elbows out. But I feel like it cost the Sharks down the road because 14-15, they didn't have any prospects to bring in. They couldn't sign any free agents, and that team went nowhere. They were a lottery team that year. Mm-hmm. And I'm afraid that if the Sharks push too hard to try and eke out a playoff spot here as the fourth member of the Pacific Division, and they're already trying to rebuild, I don't want to get into Flyers territory where we're 4-out and then we miss the playoffs for another 3-4 years because we tried to push for just this year. To me, this year's not worth it,
Right.
especially in a shortened season.
Right.
I would rather have a shortened season of misery than 82 games of misery. That's my odd take, but it's how I feel.
No, and if you're in the middle of a reset, as DW has said, granted the 4 game streak, you're like, you have that emoji where you have the star eyes. It's like, oh, but now we're back in it. By this time Friday, you could be 7, 8, 9 points out of it. And be back to where you were, and you only lost 1 game. That's how crazy things are in this division.
Yep.
Charles, obviously a Desert Dogs fan. I'm not a Sharks fan, but this is a great channel, and we appreciate your subscription. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, and Charles has actually been. I just want to point out, Charles has been bringing some pretty good comments into the chat today. So keep that up. Keep up the banter, guys. We appreciate that.
We appreciate and everybody coming in with it. If you want to make a donation for your favorite segment, as Laurel has completely does herself, consider donating through the Venmo app at Teal Town USA. Of course, you can use the super chat donation, but we do get more from the Venmo. It's tough. It was also
we appreciate your participation in all these shows. It's what keeps us going. And I'm just gonna throw it out there because I can be an ass sometimes, a fun-loving ass. So I know you guys, you Erik and Ian and Landy and everyone. You guys talk about the more likes we get, the more donations that come in will help sponsor tonight's wrap around. Well, there's an NHL wraparound and an AHL wraparound. So, which one do you want tonight?
Well,
because we can do the AHL wraparound if we only get but the NHL wraparound. Yeah, it's like that noise meter. Like AHL loud, NHL loud. I don't know.
Well, and what you got is Laurel donating $5 in the super chat. There you go.
Laurel with the donation. Good God, not the AHL wraparound. We better push this hard.
Come on, how dare we talk about Iowa taking on shoot, I'm trying to think of some random
Colorado
team.
played. Who the heck did Colorado played Texas tonight?
Okay.
That was actually a really exciting game, but I digress.
All right, so let's get to the scores really quickly. We'll get you updated with the standings as well. Sabres win. Wait, what? Sabres win 5-3. Oh boy. Well, so much for them tanking to trade Taylor Hall. Linus Ullmark getting the victory. Is he going to Toronto to be the backup? We'll see. Semyon Varlamov, speaking of goalies, gets the shutout as the Islanders blank the Capitals 1-0 in that one. Rangers go crazy, and it's not against Philadelphia. What? But Rangers 8, Penguins 4. Yes, Mika Zibanejad did have a say in this one, but also a whole lot of others. Even
you know who scored in that game at the beginning of the game? Colin Blackwell with his 10th NHL goal of the season.
Former Barracuda member, right?
Liner for the Barracuda 3 years ago. 10th NHL goal of the season.
Are you trying to say that we develop some players well that we just let them go, and others that we don't do much?
Yeah. That's pretty much what I'm saying.
Yeah. Flyers in a free fall, especially after losing to the Sabres. This time they lose to the Bruins 4-2. Patrice Bergeron with a hat trick. Brad Marchand with a shorty. Kind of appropriate since he's short and he's a cheap shot artist. If you haven't seen the clip, take a look at it on Twitter. He's such a effing a-hole. Shane Gostis.
Jeremy Swayman with 40 saves for his first NHL win in that one also.
Nice. good congrats to him. Hopefully they didn't play around with the puck this time. Uh, Shane Goes to Spare, who was on waivers last week, gets his 6th of the season in the losing cause. The Panthers lost. What in the world? They lose to the Carolina Hurricanes. Excuse me, Drew Weber's Carolina Hurricanes, 5-2 in this one. Barkov with 2 goals in the losing cause, but
and that was a game that Florida was winning 2-1, and Carolina scored, I believe, 4 in the third.
Yep. Including 2 from Jordan Stahl to get that one. The Neon Buggers beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-2. Corpusalo with the victory in this one. Max Domi gets a 6th in the winning effort. The Lightning now at 54 points. The Blue Jackets trying to stay alive and ruin Patrick Laine's career. In the shootout, the Red Wings lose 3-2 to the Nashville Predators. I don't know if did you see the move that Johansson did? I think I saw on Twitter saying like, oh, he's pretending that his controller was deactivated, and all of a sudden he dekes out Grice like he's a crazy goalie. But Nashville with the victory in this one, and Nashville, trying to keep that playoff hope alive. Moving onward, Dallas.
Nashville, by the way, because I felt that pause there. My boy Victor Arvidsson, get well soon. Got like a neck stinger or something, very ugly situation there, but I hope he's okay. And congrats on the new baby. Yeah. If I'd been prepared, I would have worn my Victor Arvidsson jersey.
Oh.
Don't worry, it's not a Predators jersey, guys. Don't worry.
As long as it doesn't say Snossus on the back of it, that's more. As long as that's important. In Chicago, the Blackhawks win 4-2. All 3 of my fantasy hockey players scored in that one. Kubalik, DeBrincat, and Kane. That's a good thing for me, thankfully. But
it takes goals to win.
That's right. In life, as in hockey, it takes goals to win. Of course, the Canucks and the Jets were postponed because I think they're now
the
Canucks.
That's for AJ.
Yeah.
Who?
Right. The Canucks, who are now, I believe, have 17 players along with some of their coaching staff.
And taxi squad players.
Yeah. With COVID, I don't know what the NHL is going to do with this one, because if you're going to miss about 7-8 games, I mean, how are you going to tack those on? I mean, even if that means you're going to start the playoffs, and the Canucks are still playing regular season games, do you go on with it? Or, I mean, I don't know what you do with that.
Well, I mentioned in the chat the other night, their farm affiliate, the Utica Comets, have played a whopping 9 games this season. They still haven't even made it to their 10th game. I thought it was bad for the Barracuda getting games in there for a bit, but 9 games. And part of that wasn't even their fault. The Sabres had an outbreak there for a bit, and that affected Rochester. But yeah, Utica I don't know if they're ever going to play a game. Is the wager going to be whether Utica or Vancouver plays another game again?
Yeah. I mean, how do you do it? And how do you lose all that TV revenue and such, especially Sportsnet wise, locally? Laurel with the $5 super chat donation. I am so confused. The hashtag reach round has been canceled. From this moment on, it'll be only known as the wraparound. All hail the wraparound.
I'm down for that.
So Laurel, I don't know who hacked your computer. I don't know. That seems a little weird, but okay. With that being said, because of the extra donation, Kevin gets to talk about a shootout loss at Solar for America Ice.
Ooh, Barracuda!
That's right. The San Jose Barracuda play tonight at Solar for America Ice. I tried to get you to as much time to change jerseys, but you couldn't in time. So,
not Superman. I need a phone booth.
All right. So they took on the Henderson Silver Knights tonight. Briefly, how did it go?
This was a weird game. I'm not gonna lie. I'm excited to talk about this game, but this was a weird game because basically nothing happened for about 50 minutes. The Jake McGrew got his second goal of the game about midway through. Kind of a broken play that Brandon Coe, the 2020 fourth or fifth round pick of the Sharks, gets his first professional point. Coe passed it to the slot where McGrew was, and McGrew took it backhand forehand and then just sniped it past Logan Thompson's glove. Logan Thompson's probably been the best goalie in the AHL this season, and of course he's a Silver Knight. Coming out of nowhere, mind you, an undrafted free agent a couple of years ago, playing in the ECHL last year. So good on him. But McGrew got that goal. Let's fast forward to the third period. About halfway through, Stefan Nason got in a fight with Tomasz Jurko. Sorry. Have no idea what happened because the camera work on this feed tonight was absolutely atrocious. And I did get some comments on Twitter from fans about how bad the camera work was. And it was bad. Missed the hit, missed the fight. Apparently, Nason busted up Jurko. Have no idea. And then Nason got a 10-minute misconduct and an instigating penalty. So that wiped him out for the rest of the game.
Right.
Henderson, as they did in the games in Henderson a couple of weeks ago, continued the antics, trying to turn the tide. He gained some momentum. You know, what we hoped the Sharks would get from Jeff Biel's fight tonight.
Right.
So Henderson, with 2:05 left, after the Barracuda took a delay of game puck over glass penalty.
How's that happen with the rink covered in? Never mind.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't help with the kind of the odd dimensions of Solar for America ice. There's still legal AHL dimensions, but there's some glass quirks and everything like that. So the Barracuda are in the box again, and Ryan Murphy scores a goal deflected in by Reed Duke. Alexei Melnichuk, who came back from injury, had a lower body injury, funny enough, against Henderson those same 2-3 weeks ago. He played okay, but he was kind of fighting his angles before the injury, and on this goal, I thought he was way too over to his glove side, left the stick side wide open, and then the puck beats him right in that open spot. Move up a minute later, Jake Leschyshyn. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm not the biggest fan of Jake Leschyshyn. I liked his dad, Curtis, former Avalanche, former Senator.
Mm-hmm.
Jake isn't a dirty player, but he makes dirty plays, I guess you could say. It's kind of like David Perron. David Perron is a little punk out on the rink. He doesn't go hitting everyone like Ryan Reeves or anything like that, but he picks his spots. So in the first game against Henderson, we saw Jake Leschyshyn go and cross-check / punch Ryan Merkley right in the head, about 30 feet away from the puck, right in front of a referee. No call. Merkley missed the next game due to injury. The very next day, I did not see this one, but I have been told that Jake Leschyshyn came up and just elbowed Joachim Blichfeld for no reason in that game. Again, no call. With a minute left, off a face-off, Alex True and Jake Leschyshyn. Alex True is literally just skating along the blue line, 15 feet away from the puck, and Jake Leschyshyn just skates up and shoulders him right in the head. Again, no call. And I don't want to get on Jordan Samuels-Thomas, the rookie official in the AHL, recently retired from playing and now is a referee, because actually in this instance, I don't know if this was his call to make. I think it was actually the other ref. But nevertheless, Jordan Samuels-Thomas, the referee for all three of these games, 3 headshots, no penalties. Come on, guys. This is getting ridiculous. So all hell broke loose. Leon Bergman attempted to fight Jake Leschyshyn. Jake Leschyshyn, and this was right off the face-off. This was actually during the stoppage. Lecision just looked around like at his teammates like, hey, anyone want to help me? Because I can't back up my cheap shots. Bergman got a warning. Shellman got kicked out of the faceoff for it. Bergman takes the faceoff and then goes right after Jake Lecision. All hell breaks loose. 5-on-5. I won't say 5 fights versus, fights of 5 different players, but definitely 5 different scrums broke out on the ice. Bergman instigating misconduct. So now the Barracuda are down 2 players. They kill off the penalty going into OT, which is probably it's obviously a good thing, but it's probably a good thing that the Barracuda were shorthanded in OT because as the Barracuda have shown in overtime, their power plays are some of the worst things you'll see all season. Barracuda stave off overtime, we'll say. Then a fantastic shootout. If you guys can see the highlights of this, go check out the shootout. Henderson might as well be Vegas. Henderson goes up 2-0 in the shootout. The Barracuda rally with goals from Scott Reedy, who made his professional debut after playing out his senior year with the University of Minnesota. Simple shot, just shoots to the glove side. Next player, Ivan Chikovic, skates in, simple shot to the glove side. Suddenly we're tied. Go all the way to round 6. Unfortunately, in round 6, Pavel Dorofeyev with a very silky kind of fake to his forehand and then reach around with it. Well, there's your
reach around.
We'll play the audio cue.
Oh, God.
Have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach.
Ooh, Barracuda.
I wasn't even trying for that. Sorry. But yeah, he did reach around with the stick and got it in. That was a great goal. And then unfortunately, Jake McGrew, who'd scored in the second period, lost the puck in the bottom of round 6. And that pretty much ended the game there. So Barracuda fall 2-1. The rematch is tomorrow at 6 p.m. We'll find out if Jake Lecision goes after a 4th Barracuda player with a headshot.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we get through that. LA is coming up next for the Sharks as we continue on. In case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and of course always available at tealtownusa.com. Alrighty. Well, Kevin, thank you for recapping both games. Appreciate it. Great to get. That's kind of the fun thing with the Kuhre is to have him nearby, and also having like a 40, 50 person taxi squad. Let's be honest. So, but your final thoughts on where the people can find you and what you're looking forward to down the road.
My final thoughts are the Barracuda need to shore it up defensively overall. This is a game-to-game thing. For the Sharks, I think the Sharks, I've said the same thing about the Sharks for 2 years now. I think lately the Sharks have been a lot better defensively, just not tonight. So I'm hoping here in these next couple of games against Los Angeles, we'll right the ship. We saw what the Sharks did against Los Angeles the last 2 games previous to this one. So playoffs, but for real, I am at Kevin Lacy 22. It was fun tweeting at everyone throughout the night. Fun to be on After Dark with you this evening, and of course with the trade deadline lurking, so will I.
Oh boy!
So make sure you follow me on Twitter. Thank you very much.
All right, I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. You can follow us at Teal Town USA on the Twitter as well. And we'll be back with you Friday as the Sharks begin a 2-game set in those beautiful Heritage jerseys. All I'm saying is, LA, bring your white Heritage jerseys that you had from last year up with you this weekend. And, that jersey matchup is going to look beautiful. So, for Kevin, I'm Erik. Have a great night. And until Friday, we'll see you. Keep it real. Keep it teal. Keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you Friday night.